So let us look at strategic objectives. Strategic objectives. When we talk about strategic objectives, we are talking about the major objectives that are all to be achieved based on a particular strategic plan that is put in place by a given organization. The concept here is strategic plan. Though it has been emphasized, that a particular planning process will have to be taken into consideration for an establishment to achieve its certain goals and objectives. Planning plays a key important role in achieving the goals and objectives of any given organization. So when these plans are being communicated to the target audience, every individual involved will be able to know some of their roles and responsibilities, and they will work towards achieving these identified roles so that they can be able to work towards influencing the achievement of goals and objectives of the organization. So strategic plans are those plans or measures that are usually formulated by the top management level for the purpose of achieving certain goals and objectives. So what are these strategic objectives? A broadly defined objective that an organization must achieve to make its strategy succeed. Those are called strategic objectives. These strategic objectives, they are some of the measures that are being put in place by an organization in order to achieve certain goals and objectives, or some of the major plans that have been put into place or that have been implemented or introduced by the top management level in an attempt to achieve certain goals and objectives. The import of this is that the strategic plans are those plans or other measures which are being designed and formulated by the top management level and passed same across to the other levels of management for the purpose of communicating their various plans as regards the achievement of certain goals and objectives of any given enterprise. So in general terms, strategic objectives are those objectives that are intended to be achieved upon the implementation of various strategic plans, which will help to put the organization on a steady path of growth, development, and stability processes. So according to Peter Drucker, he has been able to look at strategic objectives under 8 major classifications. 1, the market standing. According to Peter Drucker, he sees market standing as one of the core strategic objectives of a given organization. And by market standing, it is the desired share of the present and new market. That is, what are the major shares of the present and new market? The point at which the organization is actually standing with respect to the marketing of its products and other services will go a long way. Organization is interested in putting in place appropriate marketing strategies that will help it to sell all its products as well as add value or to create value on the part of the final consumers, who will assure them of what? Their further patronage. So market standing is one of the core objectives of strategic management. That is, what measures can be put in place for the purpose of achieving effective and efficient marketing of various products and other services that are being offered by a given organization. Then 2, innovation. Innovation. The management or the top management that is majorly responsible for the formulation and implementation of strategic plans are also interested in achieving development of new goods as well as services and other skills and methods that are required to supply them. It is one of the objectives of strategic management to put in place appropriate innovation and invention appropriate innovation and invention, which will help them to devise various means or other measures of ensuring the production of certain goods and services, as well as development of appropriate technology that will help them to produce on a large scale, coupled with the development of certain methods which will help them to make the goods and services available to the final consumer. So innovation and invention is one of the key objectives of strategic management. Then 3, human resources. Another major objective of strategic plans or management is how to develop the appropriate human resources. These are the resources that are responsible for the combination of various factor inputs within a given establishment in order to achieve certain goals and objectives. So these human resources must be effectively and efficiently utilized so that the best out of these resources can be achieved, which will help to facilitate the realization of goals and objectives. So in this case, we have to devise various measures, or the top management level must devise various measures of ensuring that the right employees that can facilitate the smooth running of the organization are actually selected, and they are given appropriate training and development, which will let them to contribute more effectively towards the realization of goals and objectives of the firm. Then 4, financial resources. Financial resources also play key important role in the establishment or the realization of strategic plans objective. One of the major objectives of strategic management is how to allocate the available financial resources in an effective and efficient manner. Strategic management is basically concerned with the way and manner of allocating various financial resources that will help to achieve certain goals and objectives. This will help to identify the various sources of capital as well as their uses. So financial resources is one of the major objectives that the strategic management actually seek to achieve. In this case, they are able to identify various sources through which capital can be raised. Is it short-term source? Is it medium-term source? Or long-term source? All these various sources of raising capital must be identified, and after their proper identification, their various uses must also be considered by the management or by the top management level, which will help to achieve effective and efficient allocation of the scarce financial resources in order to achieve ultimate goals and objectives. So apart from financial resources, other strategic objectives are, we have the physical resources. The physical resources are simply regarded as those resources that are being used physically in the production of certain goods and services, and this include the equipment that are being used, and likewise some of the other facilities that are being employed in order to ensure effective and efficient production of certain goods and services. All these are very, very important, and as a matter of fact, we have to make sure that various assets as well as other physical resources existing in a particular enterprise are effectively and efficiently utilized in order to achieve certain goals and objectives upon which strategic management is actually based. Then we equally have productivity. Productivity is very, very important, and as a matter of fact, the level of productivity of an establishment is greatly dependent upon the efficient and effective use of the resources at the disposal of that particular organization. So as a matter of fact, it is very important to note that the top management level must put in place appropriate measures which will help the company to be able to effectively and efficiently utilize the various existing resources, be it natural or human, in a given organization in order to achieve maximum output. The objective of productivity actually is based on the realization of what? Maximum output. And the maximum output can only be realized when the various resources that make up an organization are effectively and efficiently utilized. Then social responsibility. The organization must also be what? Socially responsible in nature. That is, the environment where the operation is taking place must easily be recognized and identified. And as a matter of fact, the concept of corporate social responsibility must be emphasized. Corporate social responsibility, that is CSR. This particular concept must always be emphasized by a given organization. So by social responsibility, it is important to note that the organization is able to create awareness as well as other responsiveness to various effects on the wider community as the major stakeholders. So certain facilities that are lacking in the community or the environment can easily be provided by these organizations as part of their social or corporate social responsibility. This will make them to be able to facilitate effective and efficient coexistence between the company and the community at large. So social responsibility is one of the key strategic objectives of the top management level. Then finally, we have profit requirements. Like I've told us, all the plans that are being developed or that are being put in place by top management level, the purpose of which is to achieve what? Organizational growth and development. And one of the key elements of growth and development in a given establishment is profit level or profitability, as the case may be. So as a matter of fact, the top management level must also devise various means and measures that will help them to achieve measurable financial well-being as well as growth on the part of the organization, as well as taking into consideration all the overall interests of other stakeholders that make up the organization. So the profit requirements must actually be taken into consideration such that various efforts or various measures must be combined by the organization in order to achieve certain profit level, which will help to stimulate the growth and development of the organization. So let's look at strategic planning and operational planning. Strategic planning and operational planning. Like I've told us before, there are several planning processes that are usually taking place or put in place in a given organization. We have what we call strategic planning, we have operational planning, and we have what we call tactical planning. Let me just indicate it. Strategic planning, we have operational planning, and we have tactical planning. These are the three major plans that actually underscore, management structure or management planning in any given organization. Like I've told us, the strategic planning, these are machineries that are usual, or these are machineries that are being put in place by top management level for the purpose of, taking appropriate actions and decisions that will directly affect or that will positively affect the achievement of overall goals and objectives of a given business enterprise. This strategic planning, like I've told us, is usually undertaken by the top management level. That is, it is one of the main duties and responsibilities of the people at the top management level to put in place appropriate planning process which will help the organization to achieve all its set goals and objectives. Therefore, operational planning. These are the plans that are put in place for the purpose of facilitating the smooth operation of the production of certain goods and services within a given organization. This kind of plan process is majorly undertaken by the middle management level. Middle management level. This one is top management level. So that is operational planning. That is, people at the middle management level are actually responsible for the formulation of operational plans. Then the tactical plan. This is for people at the what? The lowest management level. Lowest management level. This involves the employees and others. So they are also included in the scheme of things as regards, the plans of a given organization in order to achieve certain goals and objectives. So all these plans that we have mentioned, they must be formulated and they must be incorporated into the planning process of any business organization in order to achieve certain goals and objectives. So based on this, we can be able to look at strategic planning and operational planning. So like I've said, the planning process actually comprises of two key elements or parts. These are strategic planning and operational planning. By strategic planning, we are talking about a particular plan that establishes the long-term vision of a given organization. Likewise, a number of objectives and other strategies that are required for the purpose of achieving all the set goals and objectives of any given establishment. And this plan, like I've told us, is usually made and undertaken by the top management level. They are able to put in place appropriate measures that will help them to establish the long-term vision of the organization, coupled with the objectives and other strategies that can be developed in order to achieve all these stated goals and objectives. So that is strategic planning. What about operational planning? This can be regarded as the execution phase, and at this particular phase or level, it outlines the framework for implementing the strategies and achieving the objective. The main work involved here is just to put in place appropriate measures that will help to outline the appropriate framework that can be developed for the purpose of implementing certain strategies in order to achieve certain goals and objectives upon which the enterprise is actually based. This operational planning, which is said to be the execution phase or stage, is usually handled by the people at the middle management level. That is just a simple way of differentiating between strategic planning and operational planning. Let's now look at strategic plan. Strategic plan itself. The strategic plan actually covers a 3 to 5 years time frame, which means that, like I've told us, strategic plans are those plans or measures that are being put in place by the people at the top management level for the purpose of, identifying the long-term vision of a given organization in terms of the purpose as well as the objectives that underline the establishment of those organizations. So in many cases, like I've said, these plans are put in place for the purpose of achieving long-term vision of the organization. So as a matter of fact, this particular plan, can take place or can be used, which covers a period of 3 to 5 years. That is, between the period of 3 and 5 years, these plans can be said to be more effective and workable. And as a matter of fact, it can be renewed or reviewed on annual basis. That is, annual reviews are usually conducted on these plans that have been put in place. and the purpose of which is to basically evaluate or examine or perhaps to assess if the plan is still on track and if changes are required, so that the appropriate required changes can be put into place. So normal checks or normal reviews are usually carried out every year, and to know the effectiveness and efficiency of those plans that have been put in place. This will help us to know or to identify if there are certain changes that must be taken into consideration so as to further make the plans to be more effective, more operational, and more workable. So in this case, we are able to analyze the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, as well as the threats that are provided within a particular framework of any business organization in an attempt to achieve the long-term vision or objectives of those organizations. So when this is actually done, it will really give the clearer picture in terms of the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats, which we call the SWOT analysis of a particular firm. And as a result of that, the top management level is able to put in place appropriate measures to know if the policy or the plans that are put in place can still be used or employed for the purpose of achieving their long-term objectives. So when this is actually analyzed, it helps to identify the various strengths, the various weaknesses, the various opportunities, as well as other threats that are characterized by a given plan. So strategic plan actually helps to identify the true performance measures which can be used for the purpose of monitoring a number of progress that have been made towards achieving the core objectives of a given organization. So these strategic plans are usually developed by senior management, although departments can equally develop their own strategic plans under the umbrella of the corporate level plan. So this also corroborates what we have said so far as regards the formulation of strategic plans, which is said to be main duty and responsibility of the top management level. So strategic plan, like I've told us, can simply be regarded as those plans or measures that are being formulated by the top management level for the purpose of achieving long-term objectives of any given organization. And as a matter of fact, these plans are usually put in place to cover a long period of time, between 3-5 years and what have you, though there could be annual reviews so as to be able to evaluate the overall effectiveness and efficiency of the plans that have been made by the top management level for the purpose of achieving certain goals and objectives. So let's look at operational plan. We have looked at strategic plan. Let's look at operational plan. And by operational plan, we are talking about a measure which covers a 1-year time frame. Operational plan, is majorly used for a short term period, e.g. 1 year and what have you. So this operational planning is actually said to cover a 1-year time frame, and as a matter of fact, it basically outlines the major actions that are required for the purpose of implementing each strategy. And apart from that, operational plan also identifies the major resources that are needed, likewise some of the responsibilities and time frames for implementing various actions in order to achieve certain goals and objectives within the shortest period of time. So operational plans are set to govern the day-to-day business, and it also lays the foundation for preparing the annual budget. So personal objectives are usually defined at this level. So this particular planning process, takes into consideration the personal objectives. It is measured that is designed for the purpose of regulating or directing the day-to-day management of any business enterprise, as well as laying a solid foundation for the purpose of preparing the annual budget of any business enterprise. But the major import of this particular plan is that it is majorly used for a short period of time, e.g. 1 year and what have you. So that is just a simple way of differentiating between strategic plan and operational plan. But we shouldn't forget the fact that operational plan, like I've said, is majorly formulated by the middle management level. Middle management level. So, integrating strategic and operational plans. Integrating strategic and operational plans. In this case, we want to look at some of the measures that can be developed for the purpose of integrating together both strategic and operational plans. The two plans are said to be very, very important, and the two plans, if well articulated, will go a long way in achieving certain goals and objectives upon which the organization is actually based. It is a common knowledge and generally believed that strategic plans alone cannot be able to facilitate the achievement of goals and objectives of a given enterprise. Rather, it will have to be complemented with operational plans. And when these two plans are put in place in form of strategic and operational plans, it will go a long way in realizing all the major goals and objectives that underline the establishment of a given organization. So, in an attempt to integrate the strategic and operational plans, here we note that the strategic plans lay the solid foundation for the operational plan. There is a great interdependence between strategic plans and operational plans. Operational plan is actually an effective tool which actually helps us to achieve certain goals and objectives. And like we have defined here, strategic plans lays the solid foundation for the operational plan. And as a matter of fact, the operational plans are able to identify various strengths and weaknesses in a given organization, in that it influences the strategic decision. Neither process is developed in isolation from the other. This means that there is a clear-cut relationship between strategic plans and operational plans. The two plans must be employed or must be used at a particular point in time for the purpose of achieving certain goals and objectives. The strategic plans is said to be or are said to be very effective as they lay solid foundation for the operational plan. So both of them are interdependent on each other. So operational plan is the foundation upon which strategic plan is actually built. There can never be strategic plan without an appropriate operational plan, which means that operational plan is a necessary condition for achievement of what? Goals and objectives. But the strategic plan is what? Is a sufficient condition for the achievement of goals and objectives of a given enterprise. This simply means that we cannot achieve strategic plan without putting in place the appropriate operational plan, as the two cannot be developed in isolation. So as a matter of fact, the two plans must be incorporated in the management plans or the organization plans for the purpose of achieving certain goals and objectives upon which an organization is actually established. The strategic objectives here are able to drive the programs and projects at the operational level. When these objectives are being developed, they are simply seen as tools or strategic tools which are majorly used as the driver of various programs as well as other projects that are being embarked upon at various operational levels. And these objectives must be well incorporated in order to achieve, proper utilization of various resources in terms of programs and other projects that can contribute more to the growth and development of the organization. So, therefore, without this linkage, projects cannot secure resources. That is, appropriate resources may not be able to be committed to a number of projects when this linkage is not available. Hence, performance measures are usually identified at the strategic level and usually implemented at the operational level. So each functional area, such as customer service or manufacturing, actually requires an operational plan for the purpose of outlining various actions that will help to achieve the desired results in terms of goals and objectives of a given organization. That's a simple way of integrating both the strategic and operational plans together. The two plans play important role in achieving the key objectives of a given organization. And as a matter of fact, neither plan is said to be developed in isolation from the other, due to the fact that there is a great interdependence between strategic plans and operational plans.